So I had this weird dream the other night, right? I was a guy, first off, and I was running. I think actually I was running a race. Yeah, I was running a race because there were other people there. And it was such a long race, actually. Now that I remember it, there were these different stations set up with food and drinks and stuff because we wouldn't have been able to finish the race if we didn't actually eat these foods and drink these beverages because we wouldn't have had enough energy. It was that involved of a race. It was so long. And so I got to this first station and they had snacks. They had crackers and jam. I don't really get it either, but they distributed them to all the different runners. And at some point, I was running along with one of the other runners, and I looked over in his hands, and he had a whole ton of crackers left over. He had more than I was given, at least twice as much. I only had a couple crackers, and he had an abundance. And I was so pissed. Like, why did he have so much? Why did they give him so much and me so little? It didn't seem fair. And so we made it to the next station, which I don't know, it was a beverage station or something, and I was so mad. The same two guys were working behind the counter, and I started yelling at them, telling them, threatening them, saying I was going to quit the race. I was like, I'm not going to be a part of this. And wow. Yeah. The guy behind the counter, his response, he gave me this face, and I didn't quite know how to take it. It was like this urgency or something that I had to keep running. I just had to keep running. He was like pleading with me to keep running and not to be mad. He didn't explain anything. And I still wanted to turn away and just say, I'm done with this. But the look on his face was so compelling. And then I looked down and realized that he was serving living water. He offered it to me and I hesitantly took some. And as soon as I drank it, I was filled with this new energy. Like I could keep running forever. And I did. I kept running. I turned and I ran on. And further down in the race, it had been a long time later, this unicorn appears and was running alongside of us. It was crazy because it felt like it had so much more speed than us, but it was keeping the same pace. I guess it had a sense of urgency too. And it spoke to us and it encouraged us. It said, keep running because soon you will meet who's at the end of the race. And I just knew that this unicorn was talking about God. And I was so excited. I was turning to all the people around me, just sharing my excitement. And then I realized that they weren't excited. Some of them were freaked out. Some were afraid and didn't want to keep running because they were afraid of who they were going to meet. Some turned away because they didn't trust this unicorn. Why would they trust this? This is a mythical being. And so they turned away. But I couldn't. The majesty of this unicorn, knowing that the one I would meet at the end was even more majestic and awesome. I just couldn't